Hey everyone, it's Wildjosh.
And it's Super Friendly from the Geek-Cetera podcast.
We both just saw Thor Ragnarok and we're really excited to review it today, as well as go over some of our possible theories that may affect the MCU going forward.
Yeah, and with that being said, let's get right to it.
To start off, let's talk about what we liked about the movie. What did you like, Super Friendly?
To start off, I thought they had some really solid choices on the soundtrack, and I thought each track set up the scene. I thought they were picked intelligently, which is great. Also, the humor was very good. There were no clunky dad jokes or anything like that. I didn't think it was overdone in the same way that I thought the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 humor was, where it was just over the top and they were setting up the laugh by laughing themselves, which was ridiculous. But we're not talking about that. I also really liked Thor's helmet when he was in the gladiator arena. And when it clicked down, it definitely gave that homage to the wings he had on his helmet in the comics. I thought that was very cool. I also liked that they tied up some loose ends. Jane Foster not being with Thor anymore, they definitely got that. People have been talking about, is there a second Infinity Gauntlet? It wasn't directly addressed, but we see Hela knock it over, saying fake. So that was uncovered. And also, it was a good length. I had no, is this going to be over soon feeling. It was 2 hours and 10 minutes long, and it wasn't too long. It was a good length. It was a fun ride the whole way through. That's all I got.
Totally agree with the soundtrack. I thought it scored really big with me. It had a very Stranger Things vibe, which was really cool. I also loved the comedic scenes, which there were quite a bit of in this movie. There was good back and forth between Hulk/Banner and Thor. Also, the Grandmaster, Valkyrie, Loki, Korg, and Scourge all had me laughing at different points throughout the movie. The biggest bright spot for me, though, would probably have to be pretty much everything that happened on Sakaar. I really liked that part of the movie. I found that planet to be different and interesting, the colors were vibrant and cool, and I just loved it. Now, what are some of the things you didn't like, Super Friendly?
What I didn't like about the movie the most was that this was not the movie they set up in Avengers Age of Ultron. Marvel is setting the bar for what a shared movie universe is, and I don't think they hit their own mark with this movie. If you're going to set something up in a previous movie and then go away from your original idea, that doesn't bode well. That's not going to bring me back and make me excited. Don't tease things like Ragnarok when you're not ready to commit to something. And this movie was fine. It just wasn't what they said, or wasn't what they teased. Beyond that, they had no love for Thor's friends or for Odin. They really glossed over their passing in the movie and wasn't really brought up again for the friends, who were Thor's best friends, really, and never brought up again. So I didn't love that. Also, I'm not really sure on Loki's motivations for taking all the gladiators along with him into Asgard and sticking with them. His choices in this movie were very confusing, and I don't really know what he's going to do. And that was just kind of muddy and unclear for me. I didn't like that. And all in all, for me, it was just another Marvel movie. It wasn't a great one. It's going to be, down there towards the lower middle of the Marvel movies. That's where it'll rank for me. What about you, Josh?
I have only two major complaints. I didn't love the inclusion of Doctor Strange. To me, it felt forced and wasn't necessary. And I know that the MCU has everything tied together, and I really do enjoy that about the MCU, but I just didn't care for the way that they used Doctor Strange in this movie. The second thing was that I disliked almost everything about the major villain, Hela. Her character, to me, just felt like it had been done a lot of times before, and there was no real depth to it. And I know Cate Blanchett, she's a really good actress, and I don't think it has anything to do with her acting ability, but I think the way the character was written, it just made it feel very two-dimensional to me. And I had a really hard time pinpointing what her superpower was. It seemed like she could pretty much do everything except be a very compelling character.
No, you're right. She seemed kind of two-dimensional. I think I liked her a little bit better than you did, but I do agree with you. Hey, you know what I kind of took away from this movie and I'm looking forward to? Because we talked about this, I think, in our very first Geek-Cetera episode, how Thor meets up with the Guardians of the Galaxy. We know that they're going to run into him in space. So I thought they were going to set that up in this movie, and they didn't. So I'll be looking forward to seeing where that mid-credit scene comes in, and how Thor actually ends up with the Guardians in Avengers Infinity War Part 1. Do you have any theories on that?
Yeah, I do. Near the end, Loki went into Odin's vault to get Surtur's crown, and we see him glance at some of the artifacts, and one of those artifacts was the Cosmic Cube or the Tesseract, whatever you want to call it. And I think that Loki, being the conniving person he is, grabbed that cube, and then once they were in space after the events of the movie, that he contacted Thanos. And that's why you see Thanos' mothership approaching the ship with all the remaining Asgardians on it for the mid-credit scene. And I believe that's going to lead directly into what we know from the Avengers Infinity War trailer, where we see Thor floating adrift in space and the Guardians of the Galaxy rescuing him.
Sweet, I like it. Let's go into our ratings for Thor Ragnarok. The first one being the family-friendly rating. Josh?
Due to the language, death, and violence, we give it a 3 out of 5 Infinity Stones.
Next is the actors and characters rating. What you got there, WJ?
This movie was very well acted and the characters were likable as well. For those reasons, we give it a 4.5 out of 5 Moniers.
And the only reason that the actors and characters didn't get 5 stars totally is I was not a huge fan of the Heimdall replacement guy. He played Bones in Star Trek. I just wasn't a big fan of him. I thought it was a little cheesy acting and a little bit of a cheesy character. So they didn't get 5 stars just because of that, because of me. But we're going to move on to our story rating.
In the end, we liked the story more than we didn't, so we gave it a 3 out of 5 lightning bolts.
And we ran out of ideas for what type of ratings we should use, so we're just going to go quickly to our overall rating.
The movie could have been better, and we both had definite issues with some of the directions they decided to go. With that being said, we decided to give it a 3.5 out of 5 Avengers.
We hope you liked our video. If so, please subscribe. Also, let us know what you thought in the comment section down below, or you could even let us know what you thought of Thor Ragnarok. If you haven't already, be sure to check out the Geek-Cetera podcast. You can find this on YouTube in our podcast channel, or you can find a link on our website, www.geek-cetera.com. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, @geek_cetera, so you can know when we drop new content. You may also want to check out our other YouTube channel, the Star Wars Who's Who, as hosted by our own Wildjosh. Thanks for watching, and remember, no, I won. Easily.